On the night of the 3rd of October, a 19-year-old girl named Anna walked out of her university library at 11:47 p.m. The security camera above the library entrance captured her leaving. She was wearing her university hoodie, box braids over her shoulders, backpack on, phone in hand. She was heading to the student car park, 200 meters away. She never reached it. My name is Shadow Story. And tonight I am going to tell you about the man who was the last person seen with Anna, and exactly how a single lie unraveled everything he spent 30 years building. Stay with me. Anna Okafor was a second-year law student. She was the first person in her family to attend university. Her mother was a seamstress from Lagos who had moved the family to the United States when Anna was 7. She kept every single one of Anna's report cards in a folder she called the evidence of God's faithfulness. Anna was 19 years old. Bright, loud in the way that people who are completely sure of themselves are loud. She had a group chat with her friends called Future Lawyers Who Lunch. She called her mother every single day without fail. On the 3rd of October, she did not call her mother Missy. Anna Okafor called Anna's phone 14 times between 9 p.m. and midnight. Each call went to voicemail. At 12:30 am she called Anna's roommate. At 1 am she called the university security desk. At 2:15 am she called the police. Please, my daughter has not come home. Her name is Anna Okafor. She is a student at the university. She called me every single day, and tonight she did not call. I know something is wrong. I know it, please. You have to help me find her. At 6:14 a.m. on the 4th of October, a university maintenance worker found Anna's backpack beside a drain at the edge of the student car park. Her phone was inside it. Her student ID was inside it. Her keys were inside it. Everything she needed to exist in the world. Left behind. Detective James Cole was assigned the case at 7 a.m. He was a 20-year veteran of the force. He had worked over 300 missing persons cases in his career. He would later say that something about this one felt different from the very first hour. In 20 years, I have seen a lot of cases where the answer was simpler than it first looked. A girl who ran away. A misunderstanding. Someone who needed space and forgot to tell their family. This was not that. The backpack told me everything I needed to know before I had even spoken to a single witness. You do not leave your phone behind. You do not leave your keys. Not unless someone made sure you could not take them with you. The university had 23 security cameras covering the campus. Detective Cole and his team reviewed every single frame of footage from the 3rd of October. Anna appeared on camera, leaving the library at 11:47 p.m. She appeared on camera at the corner of the science building at 11:49 p.m. And then she simply vanished. Between camera 3 and the car park entrance, there was a 40-meter stretch of pathway with no camera coverage. 40 meters. The distance between Anna and everything that came after. We pulled the footage from every camera within a half-mile radius. Businesses, ATMs, private residences with doorbell cameras. We found her on a petrol station camera on Meridian Street at 11:52 p.m. She was not alone. She was getting into a dark blue sedan. She appeared to get in voluntarily. No sign of struggle visible on the footage. We spent the next 72 hours trying to identify that car. If you are new to Shadow Story, and this is the kind of content that has you leaning forward in your seat right now, hit that subscribe button. We tell the stories that most people are too afraid to say out loud. Every single week, right here. Now let us talk about the man who owned that car. The car was registered to a company called Reed Property Solutions, a commercial real estate firm based in the city. The registered director was a man named Thomas Reed. Thomas Reed was 52 years old. He was wealthy, respected, a university donor. His name was on a plaque outside the business school, building on the very campus where Anna had disappeared. He was also Anna's part-time employer. For the past 7 months, Anna had worked 3 evenings a week as an administrative assistant at Reed Property Solutions. She had told her mother that her boss was kind. When Detective Cole arrived at Thomas Reed's office at 9 a.m. on the 5th of October, Thomas Reed was already there, suit pressed, coffee on his desk, completely composed. He said he had been expecting them. He said he had heard about Anna's disappearance on the news that morning and was devastated. He said Anna was one of the hardest working young people he had ever employed. He said he would do absolutely anything to help. Everything he said was perfectly measured, perfectly rehearsed. Detective Cole noticed. Of course I will cooperate fully, completely. Anna is a wonderful young woman. I am praying she is found safe. Yes, the car is registered to my company. Several of our staff use company vehicles. I would need to check who had it signed out that evening. The 3rd of October, you said. I believe I was at a dinner function that evening. I can provide the details, of course. Whatever helps. In 30 years in this job you develop a sense for people. Not evidence, not facts. Just a sense. Thomas Reed sat across from me and said all the right things. Every single right thing. That was the problem. Nobody says every single right thing unless they have practiced. While Thomas Reed was composing himself in that office, Anna's sister Sarah was sitting in a police interview room 3 floors below. She had driven through the night from another state the moment she heard her sister was missing, and she had something to tell Detective Cole that Anna had told her in confidence 2 weeks before she disappeared. She told me he made her uncomfortable, not in an obvious way. Anna said it was small things, the way he looked at her when no one else was in the office. Staying late when she was there alone. She said she told herself she was imagining it, but 2 weeks ago she told me he asked her to come to a property site with him, alone, at night. She said no, and she told me that the way he looked at her when she said no was the scariest thing she had ever seen in her life. I told her to quit. She said she needed the money for tuition. She said she could handle it. She said she could handle it. Sarah's testimony changed everything, because it was not just grief talking, it was detail, specific, precise. The kind of detail that does not come from imagination. It comes from someone who was paying close attention because she was afraid for someone she loved. Thomas Reed told Detective Cole he had been at a charity dinner on the evening of the 3rd of October. The dinner was held at the Grand Meridian Hotel. He named 12 people who could confirm his presence. Detective Cole checked every single name. 11 of them confirmed Thomas Reed had been at the dinner. But here is what Thomas Reed did not know. The Grand Meridian Hotel had recently installed a new parking system, automatic number plate recognition. Every car entering and leaving the hotel car park was logged automatically with a timestamp. Thomas Reed's personal car entered the hotel car park at 7:14 p.m. It left at 9:38 p.m. Anna disappeared at 11:52 p.m., 2 hours and 14 minutes that Thomas Reed could not account for. When I put the parking log in front of Thomas Reed, he did not panic. I want you to understand that. A guilty man panics when you show him the evidence. Thomas Reed looked at it and he smiled. He said he must have stepped out briefly during the dinner. He said he could not remember why. He said he was certain it was nothing significant. That smile was the moment I knew, Detective. I have been a supporter of this city's institutions for 30 years. I have donated to the university, to the police benevolent fund, to 3 different mayoral campaigns. I understand you have a job to do, and I am telling you with complete sincerity that I had nothing to do with whatever has happened to that girl. Now, unless you have something more substantial than a parking log, I think we are done here. Sarah's testimony gave Detective Cole enough to dig deeper into Thomas Reed's past. What his team found over the next 72 hours was not a clean record. In 2009, 13 years earlier, a young female intern at Reed Property Solutions had filed a complaint against Thomas Reed. The complaint was settled out of court. A non-disclosure agreement was signed. The file was buried. In 2014, a second complaint, a different young woman, a different city, same outcome, settled, silenced, buried. Thomas Reed had spent 30 years and considerable money making sure nobody could connect the dots. Nobody until Anna's sister drove through the night and refused to be quiet. Once we had the parking log and Sarah's testimony, we were able to apply for a warrant to access his sealed civil records. 2 prior complaints, 2 non-disclosure agreements, 2 women who had been paid to disappear from his story. Each case on its own looked like nothing, settled, done, moved on. Together, they looked like exactly what they were, a pattern. On the 9th of October, 6 days after Anna disappeared, Detective Cole executed a search warrant on Thomas Reed's property, his home, his office, his company vehicles. They found Anna's university scarf in the boot of the dark blue company sedan. A single piece of forensic evidence placed at a property site owned by Reed Property Solutions outside the city confirmed the rest. Anna Okafor was found alive. I want you to sit with that for a moment. She was found alive. When we found her, I have been doing this job for 20 years. And I am not ashamed to tell you I had to step outside for a moment before I could speak, because in 20 years you see too many cases that do not end this way. This one did, because of a sister who drove through the night. And a parking system a rich man forgot to account for. Before I finish this story, if this video has kept you here, if you have felt every single moment of Anna's story tonight, hit the like button right now, and drop a comment below. Tell me at what moment did you know it was Thomas Reed, because the shadow story community sees things that most people miss. Now let me tell you what happened next. Thomas Reed was arrested at his office at 2 p.m. on the 9th of October. His assistant of 11 years watched them walk him out in handcuffs. She later told a journalist that she had known something was wrong for years. She had just never let herself believe it. At his trial, the prosecution brought forward not just Anna's case, but the 2 women from 2009 and 2014. Their non-disclosure agreements were ruled unenforceable in a criminal proceeding. For the first time in 15 years they were allowed to speak. Thomas Reed sat in that courtroom with the same pale green eyes, the same composed expression, the same stillness. It did not save him. I sat in that courtroom every single day, every day. And when they read the verdict, I did not cry. I had used all my tears. I just looked at him. I wanted him to see me looking at him. I wanted to be the last face he saw before they took him away. I wanted him to know that Anna was still here, that we were still here, that he did not win. Thomas Reed was sentenced to 22 years in prison. He will be 74 years old when he is eligible for parole. Anna Okafor recovered. She returned to university the following September. She graduated 3 years later, top of her class. She is now a practicing attorney. She specializes in cases involving the abuse of power. There is a version of Anna's story where nobody listened to her sister, where the parking log was overlooked, where Thomas Reed's lawyers were fast enough and expensive enough, and Anna never came home. That version exists for too many people. The difference in Anna's story was a sister who drove through the night, a detective who noticed a smile that was too controlled, and a parking system that nobody remembered to tell Thomas Reed about. Power protects itself until it cannot. This has been Shadow's story. Subscribe. Stay close, because the shadows always have more to tell.